All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unlock the ultimate negotiation secret. The kind of secret that literally prevents you from ever feeling backed into a corner or forced into a really poor compromise again. Because let's face it, we negotiate every single day. Sure, sometimes it's a massive, high-stakes business deal, but honestly, most of the time it's just navigating daily life with friends, family, or your coworkers. And yet so many of us walk into these interactions completely unarmed. Well, today we're going to change that. We're looking at the power of the pivot and how mastering one very specific strategy will totally transform how you handle disagreements.
It's the age-old question, isn't it? What happens if you simply cannot reach an agreement? Whether you're trying to ink a huge corporate contract, haggling over a car, or literally just trying to make a basic, everyday choice with a friend, we all hit those walls. Those moments of absolute deadlock. You lay out your terms, they lay out theirs, and absolutely nobody is budging an inch. It's incredibly frustrating, it completely stalls any momentum, and it definitely creates a whole lot of tension. And when you're staring down that exact scenario, the natural human reaction is just dread. The dread of a forced, unhappy compromise. We all know that feeling, right? That awful pit in your stomach when you realize you might actually have to just cave and accept a deal that makes you miserable just to make the conflict go away? You end up giving way too much ground, trampling over your own boundaries, and walking away feeling totally defeated because, well, you felt like you had zero other options. But what if you actually did have a choice?
Section 1. Introducing your BATNA.
Here's the thing. Identifying your plan B completely flips the power dynamic of any disagreement. It takes you from a position of feeling vulnerable and puts you in a position of quiet, assured strength. You literally no longer have to operate out of that dread we were just talking about. And that brings us to our absolute game-changing of a term for today, BATNA. It stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. Seriously, lock this term into your brain, because it's one of the most powerful tools you can possibly have in your back pocket during any conflict. I know it sounds a little academic, but the actual concept is incredibly practical.
In plain English, your BATNA is your plan B. It's the backup plan, the absolute safety net you rely on when a negotiation is just crashing and burning. And listen, this is an active strategy, not just some passive wishful thinking. It's exactly what you will actively go out and do if you decide to walk away from the table. When you actually know your plan B, you aren't just bluffing to get your way. You have a concrete, completely viable option waiting right there for you.
Section 2. The Movie Night Standoff.
Okay, let's bring this down to earth and see how it actually works in the wild. We'll look at a super relatable scenario with two friends, Sam and Mia, who are just trying to figure out what movie to watch. Now, it seems like a low-stakes negotiation, sure, but human psychology works the exact same way here as it does in a giant corporate boardroom. So, they're at a total standstill. Neither wants to watch what the other person is suggesting. But instead of arguing for 2 hours or one of them bitterly caving in and watching a movie they hate, they completely bypass that forced compromise. Because Sam's plan B is to go outside and ride his bike, and Mia's plan B is to go finish her book.
Let's break down Sam's side of things. He just clearly and playfully puts it out there, hey, if we can't agree on a movie, my plan B is to go outside and ride my bike. Sam knows exactly what his evening looks like if this falls through. And because he's identified this really appealing alternative, he suddenly has all the leverage he needs to just reject a bad movie pick. He isn't trapped. His happiness for the entire night does not depend on Mia agreeing with him.
And the exact same thing goes for Mia. She doesn't miss a beat. She replies, and my plan B is to go finish my book. Mia knows her alternative too, which means she absolutely will not accept a deal that makes her unhappy either. Both of them have clearly established their BATNA, and boom, that completely neutralizes the tension of the deadlock. They aren't actually fighting against each other anymore. They're simply weighing the current deal against their backup plans.
Section 3. The Power to Walk Away. So movie night is a great micro-example, but the macro lesson here is huge. When you prepare for a negotiation by defining your alternatives before you even start, you're giving yourself the ultimate freedom. It hits on so many psychological levels. First, it provides you with genuine leverage to reject unsatisfactory terms. You aren't desperate for a deal. Second, it gives you the absolute confidence to walk away. You don't have to posture or bluff. You genuinely know you'll be fine if the deal falls apart. Third, it ensures a productive path forward. Even if you guys can't reach a consensus, you aren't left standing there empty-handed. You instantly pivot to your plan B, just like Sam grabbing his bike. And finally, it acts as a really robust safety net in literally any interpersonal conflict, completely dialing down the anxiety and emotional reactivity.
Just like we saw with Sam and Mia's standoff, knowing your plan B means you possess the ultimate superpower. You get to walk away from a deadlock and still have a totally fantastic day. You aren't storming off in a huff, you're just confidently executing your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Because the goal isn't always to force a deal, right? Sometimes the most successful and genuinely exciting outcome is realizing your plan B is actually way better than a bad compromise and just confidently taking it.
So as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this one thought. As you go out and face your own daily negotiations, whether you're asking for a raise, navigating a tricky client, or literally just picking a restaurant for dinner, ask yourself, do you actually know your BATNA? Have you mapped out what you're going to do if things don't go your way? Don't wait until your back is against the wall to start looking for an escape route. Are you ready to use your plan B, pivot with total confidence, and never ever settle for a miserable compromise again?